racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Hello and welcome everybody to the SFR GT Challenge Round 2 here at Silverstone. We are, of course, going to be the Friday Night League here on PC. Season 3, I think I mentioned that. Silverstone is going to be around 2, 3.6 miles with 18 corners, 8 to the left, 10 to the right with 11 meters as well of elevation change. It's going to be quite the thriller here tonight. I hope you all are ready. We, of course, last week were over at Kyalami, where there was a bit more elevation to be had, only 11 meters this time around, so not quite going to be the spills down the hill that you would expect this time, but we'll see. There's plenty of action, of course. This track founded back in 1948, right after the war, and that was, of course, a World War II fighter base. I'm sure you've heard that quote plenty of times, and located in Northamptonshire, England, and current layout that we're using, though, of course, from 2020. It's going to be absolutely awesome here tonight. We have 16 drivers currently rounding the track with some very tight times to be had in this qualifying session. In fact, the top two are so tight they are almost even. We'll pop down into the session momentarily, though. Rocky and Chad, welcome. Unfortunately, not able to be racing with us this time around. I'm sure we'll have them here next week. I wish you the best there, Rocky, of course. And as we have it here, we'll get now into the game. You can pop down into here. We can see Albert Tranghisi, the previous champion from Season 2, of course, the Friday Night PC League. Currently at the top of the time charts, as you would expect from the number 1 here. Tonight's pit strategies are going to be, of course, 1 mandatory pit stop. I know we had that last time as well. I think that's going to be the standard throughout. 75 minutes on the clock for tonight. It is going to be a pit stop for fuel, and tires will be optional, and there is no pit window. Drivers will be allowed to take their stop at any time. We're getting a little bit of side-by-side action there in the qualifying session as we have a race to the line. Fastest lap being set as well by Tranghisi. We can get a little bit here of the guys in the truck, just a little bit slow. There we have it. We can take a look here at the current times on the board. 1:58.49 is the pole position from Albert Tranghisi. Daniel Madrano here looking to come up very close. 1.7 tenths is going to be the difference between them. Coming to the line, though, Daniel Madrano's on an absolute stormer of a lap. What's he going to do? He's going to top the time charts by a good margin here. The Lamborghini up to first position, almost into the 57s. My goodness. That, for anyone who is unfamiliar with Silverstone, is quite the lap. The Rockefeller Racing Porsche here Or Porsche. Lamborghini. Yeah, common misconception there. I suppose both German manufacturers, but, well, kinda. And Trango is gonna dominate. We'll see, says Rocky. Of course, bringing up the win last week. Gonna be looking strong to take the back-to-back. But can Daniel Madrano do anything about it? Albert Trangisi still in the pits, making some crucial setup changes. Gaining every half-tenth here. Every corner, if you can gain a half-tenth, you're going to be gaining a lot of time throughout the lap. And Daniel Madrano here tilts the car in. You can see that Lamborghini car built on a knife's edge, of course. He barrels down the gears into second here through the farm and around through Village into the loop. Now, one of the most crucial corners, Aintree onto the Wellington Straight here. Going to be looking to set your corner up for Brooklands. This is one of the trickiest corner complexes as well on the track. You can see a tire being dipped off into the grass. That's not going to help the entry for the car in front. Daniel Madrano here, awfully comfortable though, off onto the rumble strips, goes a little bit deep into the first part of the corner. As you can see, just being ever so patient, riding that throttle out as smoothly as he can, getting the minimum speed that he can. Coming to the line, there it is, going to be another improvement. 1:58.0, we're so close to the 57s. Santiago Vengas, the Colombian driver, 1 second off the pole time here in the Ferrari. Both the Ferrari and the Lamborghini looking very strong. The McLaren a little bit further behind. And Rocky supporting all drivers tonight. Daniel Madrano, though, of course, the Rockefeller Racing Porsche. Porsche? Why do I keep saying Porsche? Does Daniel Madrano drive a Porsche in a different league? Is that why I'm getting confused here? I feel like that's coming out way too naturally for that to be that consistently incorrect. But regardless, he's in a Lamborghini now, so it is. An amazingly designed Lamborghini at that. Coming now down the Lewis Hamilton straight. And in through Abbey. And into Farm again. Once again, very crucial corners here. You have to compromise this corner and try to slam it as far right as you can. Took that corner very shallow, which is a testament to this driver's skill and that he is just better than me. Kevin Anthony drives a Porsche, and so does Cruz. I don't think that's why. I think my brain's broken. I think that's it. Devin Anthony in the McLaren this time around, though. Currently sitting in P8. Bit more time on the board potentially to be had for that McLaren. It's interesting. I know the McLaren had a recent ballast shift. I'm not sure which track it was on, but I think it was Silverstone. If anyone can correct me on that, that'd be nice. But the McLaren was extremely powerful on exit speed. I think it was the exit, the corner exit. It just was a rocket ship and able to get up to speed way quicker than everything, and it had such a good top speed as well. Patrick Dubois is off, unfortunately, there. Like right after the first corner. Excuse me. This week, 75 minutes at Silverstone. Next week, it's going to be a double header. We're going to have 2 races, 30 minutes at Misano, followed up by 45 minutes at Misano. It's going to be, of course, October 27th. Start time at 8:30-ish, 8:15. I think driver's briefing is at 8:10 Eastern time. And 1.8 Mach was unbeatable at Silverstone, and so does the Bentley. Yeah, the Bentley is a car that we definitely don't see enough of anymore. Of course, just hasn't had the love that it, well, has had in real life. I mean, it just hasn't really had much love. I mean, it's doing quite good in real life. Of course, you have the Samantha Tan Racing team. They've been doing extremely well as of late. This is the only Bentley that comes to mind. And are they driving a BMW now? Or are they still driving the Bentley? I think they're still driving the Bentley. Garrett Hill, welcome. Support from Mulus. Mulus currently sitting down in P15. On a great lap, though. Why don't we stick with Mulus here in the... Okay, listen here. Coming through Aintree now, onto the Wellington Straight. Gonna be flat out looking for that braking marker into Brooklands. Trying to get that rotation. The car struggling to grip up, having to go maximum lock on the wheel. A little bit of understeer there. Able to get back onto it, though. On the throttle, nice and early. Second gear, third gear, climbing up to the line now. What's it going to be here for Gray Mulus? To the line currently. Gains a position over Gravelle? Gravelle? Or is it just gravel? I know in the gravel trap racing here, Mike. Gravelle, I'm assuming. The Canadian driver, it might even be Mike Grave. I'm not sure. Trango, of course the nickname, on quite a lap right now. Coming to the line is going to be potentially setting the new pace here. Comes across it. It is going to be pole position and by a quite steady margin into the 57s extremely comfortably there. 157.6. What a lap from the previous champion, and that is going to be it for his qualifying. He is going to pull to the side and call that one a close. Daniel Madrena will not be able to respond, unfortunately. He is going to be in P2. That will be the best. DeMarcus Rogers, the only one that is able to dethrone him. He may even be able to get in another lap here, as he is approaching Aintree now. Dawson Haywood, welcome. Mulus and Nevada are going to start, or are going to get it together this week. Okay. Take your word for it. Let's hope the same. Nevada, currently they're next to each other on the grid. DeMarcus Rogers put on an absolute stellar result last time around and put some amazing racing on in front of us as well. I hope that we see that again. I almost want DeMarcus to start further down. He starts in P3, though. Of course, an incredible lap. I obviously don't want him to start further down. I just want to see him go for those overtakes. We'll see. Vengas gets overtaken there in the times. DeMarcus Rogers just quicker. A few more drivers left. We have Gray Mulus here. Coming around the final few corners now on an invalid lap, so not going to be improving, unfortunately. The 26 car here of Tillery. To the line. Is it going to be an improvement? Nope, it is not. The 26 Ferrari, unfortunately, will be resigned to P11. And last driver out on the track is going to be Colin Sugg in the Slug Racing. The AMG here. Sitting down in P13, lucky number 13 for him. Can he make an improvement? He's also the lone AMG on the grid. He's looking about even with his time. Dana, welcome. Or Diana? Diana. Colin, a little bit deep there into Brooklands now, coming around the penultimate corner. Good rotation, able to get on the throttle actually quite early. Is going to be heading to the line. No improvement, unfortunately, for Colin, and that will be the last lap set. The AMG got taken out last week. Let's hope better for them this time around. I want him to start for. I want to see him go for the overtakes. DeMarcus is such a good driver. He's starting way up there. I mean, where he belongs, quite frankly. I obviously don't want him to get into a lap 1 incident. That's wishing a bit much. But, you know, I want to see him go for some overtakes. As well, though, he's got a lot of defense to do. We'll see. Santiago Vengas is going to be all over him early on here. And that's going to be some pressure he's going to need to withstand. We wait here for the session to transition, of course. This is the calm before the storm, as often is with the lulls of history as well. Of course, Agincourt was a calm field. Farmers plowing it one day, and the next, well, we all know what happened. But today, we're not in France. We're here in England, Northamptonshire, in fact. Looking to set some history here tonight. SFR GT Racing. Of course, if you guys are interested, in the description, you can find a link to the championship, I think. I don't know if I put it there. Can I change it? Yes, you can. You can find a link to the championship as well. You can find a link to our Discord there, where you will be able to sign up. If you are interested, of course, $100 on the line here for P1, and it's only race 2, so there's still plenty of time to get in these championship standings. Tranghese, though, who we're looking at right now, definitely looking really strong. Managing, and actually, excuse me, Tranghese did not take the race win last week. Or did he? Hold on, I'm looking at qualifying. Whoops. He didn't. Tranghese actually did not finish well at all. I spread misinformation. Jace Wright, of course, the controller king. How could I forget, who is not here tonight taking his drop round as he is on a vacation, trying to go and get some sauna time up in the mountains. We had Alexander Delatour in P2, who also not going to be joining us this week, it seems. And Santiago, he was the next runner-up out of those 3, currently sitting in P4. Got some work to do. We'll see what he can manage. And there are some amazing liveries out there tonight. We'll get into that a little bit more in the race, as nobody wants to inspect a livery with a bunch of things on your screen. Just waiting here for the session to transition over. There we go. Okay, we're good. 2 p.m. start time here. Temperatures are looking very nice. A little bit warm, actually, here for the Silverstone day. 26 degrees track temp. Why don't we get in here and meet our drivers? As we have it here. Starting in P1, it is going to be the number 1, starting in P1. It's going to be, Albert Tranghese in the TDR the TDR Init 296. Bringing up the front row here as well. Daniel Madrano in the Rockefeller Racing Lamborghini, the number 6. Next to him will be DeMarcus Rogers, starting off row 2 here tonight in the number 47, McLaren in P3. Santiago Vengas in 4th, looking to make a good result here tonight for the Ethereum Esports car. And Jay Ramirez in P5, in the Nameless Racing. Marco Saldada, P6, number 111 car. Next to Jay Davis, who was going to be 7th fastest in qualifying, number 8 car. BMW as well, the only 2 BMWs out there tonight. So a little bit of love being shown there for the German manufacturer. Devin Anthony, the Rockefeller Racing 664 car in P8 here, taking the 4th row. Next to him on row 5 will be Fabiano Rousseau in the SOT number 78, the Spirit Onyx car. After that, we have Leonardo Nevada, P10. Great result there in the qualifying, I would say. The number 22 car looking to make some places up here in the race, hopefully. Todd Tillery in P11 in the 296. Patrick Dubois will be 12th fastest. The number 87 Rockefeller Racing Lamborghini, sister car up at the front. Going to be looking to join him a little bit later. Colin Sugg, P13, the lone AMG on the grid, the number 34. Trying to make some more German representation with Gray Mullis, the number 55 car in P14. Mike Gravelle, the Porsche driver in P15. And last but not least here, it's going to be Alex Ishii starting in the pits. The drivers are underway here for their 3.6 mile outlap here at Silverstone. Of course, 18 corners, 8 to the left, 10 to the right, Northamptonshire, England, 11 meters of elevation, absolute thriller of a track, my personal favorite out of every track in the world, on this planet, heck, even in the universe. This is my absolute favorite racing track there is. Historical grounds. We're looking to make that true here tonight as well. And that red McLaren was fast last week, but unfortunately had some engine issues. And 3 different manufacturers on the podium. Yeah, it's really good diversity here, but a lot of McLarens out there. Of course, the British car you would think would be favored on the British track. Great view of the cars coming out down the hangar straight. Of course, at one point in time, there were B-52 bombers parked there. Now, or I guess not B-52. There would not have been B-52 bombers parked there. Would have been B-17s. But regardless of what airplane was parked there, some large planes would have been parked there. And we have the opposite of airplanes out there tonight. Some cars with some very high-tech downforce to keep them planted onto the ground. As Rockefeller Racing says in the chat, make sure you guys drop a like if you are enjoying the stream and hit that subscribe button as it is free. Both of those are free. If you guys enjoy, it does help us out tremendously. Make sure to share it with your friends, family, and if you are interested in driving in this league, make sure you guys sign up for that. It's in the description. The SimGrid link can be found there, and you can be a part of this amazing action and competition for $100, as well as the top 3 getting a top-notch setup bundle from Coach Dave. Thank you to Coach Dave for providing us that, as well as thank you to SimGrid for everything that you do as well. This is going to be amazing here tonight. We'll take a look at these liveries as we have a little bit of time. Longer outlap, 3.6 miles. I know we've been taking a look at this one for a little bit, but we'll get a quick little spin by of the pole position Ferrari. Tranghese designed, of course. Amazing job there from Albert. Lovely sound the 296 makes as well. You got to give it credit. One of the most amazing sounding cars in the game, as it has the crackle of the exhaust when you downshift, or even when you come to a slow. You can see Trango got a little bit ahead of the pack there. Maybe getting a bit too eager there, wanting to get this race underway before it starts. Nonetheless, he has to wait for that green flag. We have a couple more corners to go before that happens. Albert Tranghese, though, on pole position with Daniel Madrano lined up next to him. We're going to be 2x2 Noah's Ark formation at the start of this race. I'm Mike Nause in the booth. We have 16 incredible drivers on the grid here tonight. Looking to put on this amazing action for you. 75 minutes on the clock, 1 pit stop to be had. As the green flags ready to fall here. We come to the line. And we wait a little bit longer. It's the build up. We come to the second line. And we go green as we head now to the first corner. And it's going to be an amazing start for the Rockefeller Racing Porsche. Tranghese is going to be left absolutely in the dust, but wide goes Madrano as we come through now. Heading on to the Maggots and Beckett's, one of the most famous corner complexes on the world. We can check back. We can see Devin Anthony making a move on to Marco Saldana. Saldana remaining ahead for now, but the inside line will be taken for Ramirez. Not going to happen, though. Devin Anthony, able to get that advantage. Saldana a bit ahead in the McLaren. Try to make a gain on to Santiago Venga. Santiago not making the start he wanted either. DeMarcus will be in P3 still. Very happy with that. And tailing Trango. Not sure what is happening with Tranghese. He's a bit deep there. We have a nice 4-way tangle behind here as well. Nevada making up a position at the start and tangling up with battling at least with Jay Davis. Yet to tangle. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Devin Anthony in the Rockefeller Racing McLaren here. Needs to put the defense of a lifetime on as Jay Ramirez, no slouch behind the wheel. Going to be trying to make a move into one of the fastest corners on the track. No, he seems content for now. But he will be wanting to get a hurry up on here as we approach the village section. Daniel Madrano, 8/10 is the lead for him as it stands, with Tranghese in P2. DeMarcus Rogers trailing him. Santiago Vengas in P4 with Marco Saldana in 5th and Devin Anthony in P6. How long, though, can Devin Anthony keep this 6th position as Jay Ramirez, or excuse me, that's Marco Saldana, try to keep the P5. My timing sheets are a little bit slow. But it's a very clean start here and a clean lap 1, and we are green, green, green. Alex Ishii is going to be the car in the back there, rejoining after a pit start. So he's got some work to do to catch up, especially with the likes of these drivers, but going to be trying to lap around 75 minutes on the clock. Anything can happen in racing, and it normally does. Only 30 seconds is the gap for Alex Ishii. Devin Anthony, he's got less than a 1/10 of a gap. And team orders, no battles. So the Rockefeller Racing has been ordered to back off his teammate. Although, you may be able to tell a driver that. What does that mean? Or is it team orders to have a position change? That's the question. Saldana needs to hurry up here. Santiago is going to be coming on the radio relatively soon. Or excuse me, Devin is going to be coming on the radio relatively soon, trying to tell Marco here to get the hurry up on. Raymer is breathing down his neck. If the gap is there, you take it. Yes, as Ayrton Senna once said, if you no longer take a gap, or if you don't take a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. One of the most untrue statements ever said, and people have taken that one a little bit too literally. But we might see a little bit of that tonight. Devin Anthony. How patient is he? Lovely livery there for him. The purple and neon green. Neon green. That's not neon. That's just a pearlescent green. I don't know what the word would be for that. Rocco, what's the green on your car? You're in chat. So true because we aren't Senna. Yes, if you are Senna, that might be a true statement. But if you are anybody in the world but Senna, it is not. The fair assessment there. And pop on board here with Devin Anthony in the Rockefeller Racing. We'll pop on board with Rocky Rocco next week, hopefully. And see some grass getting kicked up there. I think that was Vengas trying to take the city council out of a job. A little bit of lawn mowing for him. Doing quite a bit of it, in fact. Really keeping the management there. We're going to stick on board here with Devin Anthony. Is he going to have a look into cops? That's not cops, that's Stowe. I always get those two mixed up. I knew it was wrong as soon as I said it. Through Stowe. Now heading on through Club onto the Lewis Hamilton Straight. Approaching Abbey, one of the fastest corners we saw. Some nice moves there in previous races. I guess not in this league, sorry, but in other leagues, of course, from some of these drivers, in fact. Marco is new to the McLaren. Devin Anthony is being extremely patient, I gotta say. Up ahead, I don't think we can say the same. DeMarcus Rogers is under some massive pressure. He put on a defensive masterclass last week, but this time around it looks like he is going to concede that position pretty much right away there to Santiago. We're going to see the Colombian Ethereum Esports driver try to walk up the road and catch back up with Albert Tranghisi, who has actually caught Daniel Madrano. Trango started in P1, had an absolute terrible start. Was able to recover, though. 5/10 is the gap. And thank you, Rocky. I guess, yes, of course, who am I? Anyone wondering? I'm Mike Nause over on Trackalicious. I'm the main commentator over there. If you guys do want to check that out, of course, twitch.tv/Trackalicious. And you can find me over on the Discord as well. Albert Tranghese here. And right along with the 296. We're about to hear a lot of crackling and banging, hopefully not from carbon fiber being banged together, but the exhaust of the 296. Also, DeMarcus Rogers is not giving up with that battle on Santiago Vengas. Might actually even want to check in with that. Albert Tranghese seemingly to be fairly comfortable with Daniel Madrano as it stands. There's plenty of time on this race. Doesn't want to end it in one corner. And thank you, yes, Darren Thomas. Welcome, Darren. Thank you. DeMarcus seemingly a little bit off the pace, but behind. Marco really needs to get a hurry up. I can hear the team radio over and over again here, and I'm not sure Marco is getting the same calls as Marco. Devin is faster than you. Devin is faster than you. Do you copy? I'm not sure he copies everybody. Devin Anthony trying to give his teammate a push through the corner as he keeps up with it. We'll see if that changes. Tranghese, another development here on track for the pole for the lead of this race. Of course, checkered flag is a ways away from this one. Got 1 hour, 6 minutes, 38 seconds to go. Devin here. I think we might see this happen finally. Devin Anthony in the slipstream. Has the run. 34 cars off. It's Colin Sugg. It's not done yet. Oh, man. There's a lot of time being lost here. The 75-minute race. Every man for himself. I understand that. When it's your teammate, you really got to maybe just let him by. It depends, though. Of course, like I say, think about yourself. But 75 minutes on the clock, you know, think about if you were in the other situation here. What if you were behind, saying to Marco here, would you let your teammate through? Devin will be all over the team radio, though, nonetheless. Albert Tranghese, he's going to be head down, focused, and locked in along with Daniel Madrano here. Daniel has some heavy pressure on the bumper there of the number 6 Lamborghini. Started in P2 with a barnstormer of a start. Took it right away from Tranghese in the first corner, before they even reached the first corner, in fact. He has managed to keep the lead of the race for the previous 5 laps. Acid rain messed up his livery. Let's take a little look at it right now, why don't we? We got a little bit of time. The lovely, this is neon green. Hashtag stay strong. Whoa, my goodness. Great view of Albert Tranghese. Why don't we take a look at that instead? We'll come back to that livery. Right on board here. Whoa, way too hot into maggots there. The entry to maggots, in fact, way before we got there. Got onto the grass, managed to keep control of it. Come the pit stop phase, though, I think Albert is going to be needing a new change of pants, no doubt. Immediately trying to weave to get the dirt off the tires, but that will not get rid of all of the brown, I can assure you that. Santiago Vengas has made gains again on DeMarcus Rogers. I'm not sure, did DeMarcus go for a lunge there and did not make it successful? Regardless, these two are still having a bit of a scrap. Behind as well, 3-way battle. It's going to be Patrick Dubois, Leonardo Nevada, and Jay Davis. Jay currently leading this trio. And Leonardo with really good pace, 2:01.3, lapping quicker than both drivers he's surrounded by right now. Jay Davis with a 2:01.6 last time around. On full fuel, of course. Their lap times will be changing every single lap. Well, theoretically, assuming the tire life doesn't degrade. Drivers needing to manage the tires, manage the fuel, as well as manage their position on track. Nevada having a little bit of a lockup there. Unfortunately, it costs him some time there on Jay Davis. Luckily, no position as Dubois was a bit too far behind to make any gains there. Devin Anthony still has not found his way by of his teammate Marco Saldana. Marco going defensive onto the inside line, and no, he is not actually. He is going to be letting Devin Anthony through. A lot of time was wasted there from both drivers, to be honest. And Devin Anthony is now going to be, in his mind, rightfully where he belongs. Now, the argument could be had, though, as that has immediately compromised Marco Saldana's race, and now he doesn't have that squishy little bit of a barrier between him and Jay Raymer. Jay Raymer, he does not care about team orders in the Nameless Racing here, as he is not affiliated to the team whatsoever. These are merely competitors to him, and he's going to be trying to gain every last inch of ground. The Rockefeller Racing needs to go defensive. He managed to defend. I've got to give credit to Devin Anthony for at least 4 laps. Can he do it here? Jay Ramirez, excuse me, way deep. Saldana gonna have a nice little bit of a gap to work with now. Need to see a bit more patience out of Raymer there. We also have some scrapping between Dubois and Nevada. Nevada firmly ahead right now. Patrick Dubois going to be trying to come back onto the, or on through Aintree. Not going to happen though. Now down the Wellington Straight we go into the final corner complex. Brooklyn's Luffield, and then last but not least, Woodcut Sweep. Such a good track is Silverstone, I gotta say. Like I say, my personal favorite track. I love this track so much. Not only to watch, but to drive as well. If I'm not mistaken, I think Darren Thomas in chat actually has real life. No, wait, maybe it's not you, Darren. I think somebody in one of these leagues has some real life driving experience on Silverstone. I don't think it's Darren, as Darren lives in Taiwan. DeMarcus not giving up. He's had to give a few inches, but he will not give that mile up. Santiago, he wants a little bit of a break. Isn't going to have one, though. Great exit there in Sector 2. Santiago looking much stronger there through the lower speed corners. Someone's a marshal out there. Really? I'd love to know who that is. Santiago is looking very strong. What just happened? Marco Saldana is back ahead of Devin Anthony? Devin Anthony, way too deep, doing his best impression of Sum 41 and absolutely nailing the note. Devin Anthony goes on to the grass, and all of the hard work and the team orders that have happened, well, undone. And that is really going to hesitate Marco Saldana in the future to let Devin Anthony by as well. That trust factor is so key in racing. Jay Ramirez, he's just looking back smiling, saying, all right, I gained some time. Trying to hold on right now, sticking in that slipstream. His lap time's not quite as, well, actually, last time around were much better, but in general, not quite as good there as Devin Anthony and Saldana. Bit further behind, Fabiano Rousseau, the Brazilian driver, as well as Todd Tillery. Inside line being, or outside line being taken late on the brakes, and a great lunge here as we come through Stowe. Isn't able to get it done just yet. Approaching the Vale chicane. Goes for the deep line again. That's going to lose him a few tenths on exit. Kicking up a little bit of grass as well. Not able to plant the power quite as good as Tillery is through there. The gaps are staying fairly consistent right now. Jay Raymer, 1 second to Devin Anthony. Devin Anthony, 1 second to Saldana. 3.5 seconds from Saldana to Rogers. Rogers, 1 second to Vengas. Vengas, 7 seconds to Tranghisi, but Tranghisi, 2 seconds to Madrano. And Rousseau and Todd, both great drivers and clean. That latter word is definitely what you like to hear, more so. Clean racing is, of course, what we always promote here. Hopefully is promoted everywhere. We have a driver in the pits, Alex Ishii, making his first and only stop of the night. He was in P last on that alternate strategy, it seems, trying to make something out of nothing here with that pit start. I think Alex joined a little bit late. Wasn't able to hit that drive button in time. And Moulis and Sugg, they're getting there. They're definitely getting there. 1.3 seconds. Moulis in the, okay, listen here. Number 55 BMW trying to catch up, but here we go. The Brazilian driver side by side with a massive overspeed. They're going to get even really close getting down the straight, getting a bit of a side slipstream. Now the outside of Stowe. Oh, maybe a little bit of a touch there. I think that was clean. A little bit deep there goes the 26 car. Rousseau is not done yet. Or that's Tillery, excuse me. Rousseau. He's hoping it's done. I do not think it is. 1 second now. Maybe a little bit too quick for him as it stands. Dubois pressuring Davis, trying to get him into a mistake here. This is Jay Davis, not to be confused with Jay Raymer, who are in P7 and P8, both of them. Dubois. That Rockefeller Racing Lamborghini. Lovely purple underglow. Gotta give credit there. Pinkish purple, I would say. And who bites the apple first? In terms of the upper pack, in the points, in the heavy points paying positions, I think the undercut is probably a little bit less strong here. If you have a slipstream, like for example DeMarcus Rogers, he's got a very comfortable gap here, a slipstream with Santiago. I think Santiago might be the determining factor when he wants to pit, is when, and we might see some other drivers pit. It's probably far too early at this stage, though. We're only 20 minutes into the race with 54 left to go. They ideally, I think, want to make it at least halfway through the race on their fuel. That way they can get the optimal weight and gaining the most amount of time per lap, as well as calculating a tire change in there if they want. Silverstone, not the most abrasive circuit, but 75 minutes, you're definitely going to be looking in that range to take tires. You could gamble and go without. Might be a bold strategy, though. I think 60 minutes is right around that time. I think I was having a chat with, I think it was Professor Chronotis, one of the Trackalicious admins, the other day. 60 minutes thereabout is where you want to take your tire change. I don't know, Beachley, actually. I think about, I can't remember who I was talking with. But definitely, yeah, looking around the 60-minute mark where you're kind of looking to maybe take tires. Depends. Of course, here at Silverstone, the pit lane, it is a somewhat punishing pit lane. It's one of the more mild ones, but if you do take a tire change with a pit stop, you're looking at about 58 seconds in the stop, which is going to be roughly about 50% of your lap. So losing about half a lap here, that's not quite as bad as some tracks like Indianapolis, for example, where you're basically going to be losing about 85% of your lap. Or Spa, where you lose 67, spending a whopping 92 seconds in the pits. So a more forgiving pit lane here at Silverstone, I will say. And who doesn't love a bold strategy, says Butler Racing. And also, supporting the FU Cancer, we always have some pink. Awesome message there being shown from the Rockefeller Racing. Tranghese, like I said before, wanting to keep that slipstream. He is just going to be comfortable here, just sticking with Daniel Madrano. There's no need to really be in P1 or P2 right here. It doesn't particularly matter when it comes down to it. Around that 10-minute mark, that's where we're going to see these drivers really getting their head down. Of course, leading the race is great. You know, you set the pace. You're the trendsetter and the one that everyone's got their eye on. However, that also means you're the one that everyone's got their eye on. So pressure builds and potentially mistakes can happen, as well as being in that dirty air. I will say Tranghese a little bit closer maybe than I would expect, but at that 1 second gap, that's probably pretty comfortable where you're not picking up too much dirty air and getting too much heat into your tires and brakes, but able to get that nice aerodynamic effect of having the Lamborghini in front punching a giant hole in the air for that Ferrari to sneak its way into. Bit of action as well from the sister car, Patrick Dubois and Jay Davis. I think Dubois was behind at the initial engagement here, but is trying to make anything happen. So far, isn't able to get it. Was on the inside and was ahead, but lacked on that exit speed. The BMW actually looking quite good here on Silverstone. Which is interesting. The BMW, a car that I haven't seen too much since the 1.9 update. Not quite as loved anymore. Just the cars around it are, well, a class above, to be honest, as we see every single car in the top 7 was added post 1.9. But that is, of course, the nature of new stuff. Everyone wants to try their new toys. Does that make them better? Maybe. Maybe not. Jay Davis, he doesn't seem to think so. And he's putting in a pretty decent result, so who is the one to complain there? Maybe complain isn't the right word, but Dubois, he might be complaining a little bit. He is getting maybe sick of the view of that BMW's bumper. It is pulling away, though. Not quite maybe where he wants it to go. And the M4 still fast at the top end. Yeah, that is going to help it out here at Silverstone. Of course, a longer straight. I actually don't have the length of the straight in my facts. What an amateur. Dubois all over him. Definitely want to keep an eye a bit further ahead, though, as Tranghese is potentially, well, not potentially, is quicker. As this lap, 0.3 quicker than Daniel Madrano. Is he using too much tire life there? That is going to be the quickest lap, not of the race, but it's pretty close. Tranghese does hold that title, though. 296 looks really strong here. Is Ishii? Yes, Ishii is still in the pits. Unfortunately, it looks like that will be a retirement. Been in the pits for about 10 minutes. Dubois needs to get the hurry up. He wants to catch up with his sister car. Of course, Daniel Madrano leading the race. It's so... Well, it can't be doing that. Looking like that car is really on the edge for Dubois. You know, you're in the same machinery as your teammate. It can be so frustrating mentally to get over that. Hopefully, Dubois, who is still doing an amazing job, realizes that he is. He's lapping just about under the 2-minute mark. Which, if you are on that pace, of course, that's some good pace. Tranghisi. 158s. And 150... Yes, 158s and 159s for Madrano. You can see Madrano trying to cut that slipstream off, break the toe as he tucks into the middle of the straight. He doesn't go all the way to the left of the track and cover the inside line. He actually does leave that open for Madrano, but for Tranghisi. But Tranghisi not wanting to take it. Satisfied with the outside, carrying the speed, trying to use the momentum to his advantage here. They're going to be coming on to the 13th lap, and there is not much separating the two of them. Coming out through the first corner into Maggots and Beckett's. Maggots and Beckett's, not a good overtaking opportunity. Tranghisi, he is going to back out. Okay. Trying to set it up for the exit. Down the hangar straight is going to be your best overtaking opportunity in general here. So your entire goal of this corner complex is just to set it up. Get the best exit possible. Tuck into this slipstream. Ride it out as long as you can. You can see Madrano weaving all over. I'm not sure I like that Tranghisi is following his movements there. He should just pick a line and stick with it. That weaving actually slows you down. Onto the throttle. Going to be tucking to the outside. Committed is Tranghisi. Switchback attempt and deep goes Madrano, and that's going to be the position handed to him. Madrano, very easy mistake to make there, and he does do that. Albert going to be walking away smiling if he can. Marcus Rogers, somebody who is also great at defense, gonna have to make an attack relatively soon. Santiago Vengas, Colombian, pulling away a little bit and lapping just slower actually last lap, so we are reeling him in slightly. We'll see what the DIR McLaren can do though. Dubois still struggling to dispatch the BMW here. That BMW looks like it's about double the width that it normally is, but is it this time? Closes the gap. Patrick still going to be, though, fully alongside. Has to tuck to the outside, and he is going to concede that corner to the BMW. Trying to get the better exit. Not going to happen, though, on to the hangar or Wellington straight. What has happened here? Daniel Madrano is off. Yellow flag being thrown in Maggots and Beckett's. Did we see a repeat of what we saw earlier, but a potentially bigger mistake being had here as we approach Maggots into... Maggots we go. We're way too offline here. Really interesting mistake from Madrano. It almost seemed like he just took the improper line, and as a result, he's down a position now. Too much speed into the corner. Tried correcting it. Kinda? Not really. Made almost no... I don't know. That was a weird one. We're going to see Dubois approaching Stowe now, taking the inside line. This looks like it should be done for him, but no! The BMW of Jay Davis is so confident on the brakes, we just will never see Patrick Dubois able to get fully alongside and get that car stopped in time. The Lamborghini pushing itself here, also pushing Jay Davis. So far, though, nothing. Pop on board. Get a driver's eye view here. A little bit of an early turn in there for Dubois as a result. Very offline. Approaching the village section now. Deep into the first corner. We're about to see a BMW and a rocket ship become one, by the way, everybody. This is going to be a stellar exit for the BMW, and yes, it most certainly is. Dubois has no answer to that line that we saw from the BMW. Just taking off is Jay Davis, and great job there. What has happened? Saldana is in the pits. First driver in for their scheduled stop. We'll see if any drivers follow suit. Saldana, I'm not sure where he was relative to anyone in front of him in terms of his timings. Of course, he was next to his teammate there, Devin Anthony, ahead of him, in fact, in P5, I presume. Patrick Dubois caught back up here to Jay Davis. Needs to keep his head on his shoulders for this one. That BMW is so quick, man. What do you even do? You gotta outbrake him. That's what you do. But it's so hard to get fully alongside and be able to outbrake him. Takes a lot of confidence. We gotta see that from Patrick here. He's gaining. This is what he needs here. He needs to be very comfortable and just now sit behind the BMW. Get very comfortable until we approach Aintree. That's going to be your goal here. Still falling behind. You can see the tires maybe getting a bit too worn there for the Lamborghini. Slipping and sliding all over the place. There is Patrick. Good line. We're going to be taking the inside, but that's a bit too far back. A little optimistic now. Needs to cut wide. Cut wide, Patrick. Not quite going to do so. I don't think he's going to get enough exit here, and he actually ends up washing wide. Taking a little bit too tight of a line in the dirty air there, getting the best of him. Behind, I know we had some support earlier for Gray Mullis. Mullis here, and Colin Sugg. The AMG seems to have had some front-end damage. We'll see if he ends up coming into the pits anytime soon, as that phase seems to have opened up. Raymer is also into the pits. See where Raymer rejoins, I presume somewhere around Marco Saldana in P12. Saldana with a 36-second stop. Way deep there goes Gray Mullis. At 36 seconds here, let's take a look at the Silverstone times. Let's see, did they take tires? No. They did not take tires, so they're running on their old set. Wait. At a 50, wait, is that stationary time? Or is that total time? 58 seconds, I think that's total time. Hang on, we gotta math a little bit, chat. Bit of a wobble there for Gray. So we're looking at 56 total. Saldana was about 60-something total. So, okay, okay. Here we go. We have an altering strategy. Marco Saldana definitely took tires. Jay Raymer, excuse me, I probably made that mistake a few times tonight. Jay Raymer, he's on his old set of boots. He didn't change over. With a much quicker pit stop, only stationary for about 44 seconds, or actually about 42 seconds, compared, actually, in the entirety of the pit lane was stationary for, or was in there for 42 seconds. Marco Saldana spent just under a minute. Actually over a minute, just over a minute. About 65 seconds. Is that time going to pay off? It's quite a bit of time. Now, we have a lot of time left on the clock. So, Raymer predicting that his tires are going to make it to the end, 75 minutes, and not give out on him. Will they fall off that cliff? That's that crucial question, the cliff of the tires. I know everybody, we hear that a lot in racing. What does that mean? Well, what that means is these tires, they get to a certain point, they've been on there for long enough, they start graining and blistering, which means the rubber basically starts heating and cooling very quickly and blistering off and breaking into little pieces, which limits your grip. Nevada, he is going extremely slowly into the pit lane. I think he's out of fuel. He's out of fuel. Nevada pushed it one too many laps on his fuel tank and he ran out. He's no way he's coasting it back to the pits. He's going to need somebody to help him, and I don't even think that would work. He's going to have to suffer a 2-minute and 30-second penalty as a result of a return to garage. A slight misjudgment there has cost him so much. Nevada, with 2 races in a row, just not quite delivering where he knows that he can. That's the worst part. We see Dubois coming out of the pits with Gray Mullis, not too far behind. Yeah, holy cow, he's got... Sure, yeah. Yep. Gray Mullis attacking Colin Sugg once again. Colin, though, this time around is going to have that fully repaired AMG. Currently tailing behind, very close, has to back out of the corner. In fact, went in a little bit too hot. In another corner, bit too deep. Colin looking awfully comfortable here, trying to walk away into the distance. DeMarcus Rogers behind here, 1 second, excuse me, from Santiago. Santiago, so far, a great drive. Whoa, 3 wide. That is not going to work there. Patrick Dubois, Colin Sugg, and Gray Mullis. That was a very optimistic send into the village sector. Let's take a look at that again. We have a great angle of it already. So this is the Rockefeller Racing Lamborghini from downtown. In fact, a different postal code. And that was, I think that was confusing because the AMG was going much slower than both cars as they approached the corner there. And the concertina effect was just a bit too much. Patrick Dubois not able to slow the car down in time. And Gray here into the pits after that incident. Rousseau is going to claim P11. "35 minutes on the clock. DeMarcus Rogers here. 1.3 seconds to Santiago, but patience. Dubois with a drive-through penalty. Speeding in the pit lane there, I presume. Could also be a track limits excursion, actually. That's most definitely a track limits excursion. He's been out for about 2.5 minutes. Exploring the track limits one too many times, and the marshals have responded with a slap on the wrist. He needs to serve that in the next 3 laps, or he will be resulting in a much heftier penalty. Jay Davis, 25 seconds behind DeMarcus Rogers, has fallen off a little bit there from the lead pack with Santiago Vengas as well. 17 seconds behind Tranghese. Tranghese with a stellar drive this time around, gotta be said. Vengas not quite there to respond. It's going to be double 296 at the top, though. Ferrari, or Fiat, as some people I know like to call it, just as a little bit of a joke, but also as a true statement, is going to be running up at the top here at Silverstone with the British engineered car in P3. Marcus Rogers doing an excellent job. And is DeMarcus? No, it's not DeMarcus. I'm not sure who it is. I know somebody drives this track, but I just cannot remember who. Marco Saldana, who has had a scrap with his teammate for a very long time, now has another teammate, or rather the same teammate, just in opposing orders. No, a different teammate. Danny Madrano has joined in the party. Wait, Danny Madrano is down here. How did he end up down here? That's very confusing. He must have had some sort of a little bit... What? How is he down this far? Nonetheless, he is. And he's going to be battling with Rocky Rock... I'm sorry, Rocky. With the RR, which I just look at. Not the Rocky Rocco Rockefeller Racing Porsche. No, this is Devin Anthony's Rockefeller Racing Porsche. With Daniel Madrano very close behind. DeMarcus and Santiago both into the pits this lap, serving their mandatory stop a little bit later than some. We still have not seen our two leaders come in just yet. They are just driving on pure track position, as track position at Silverstone, arguably more important. The undercut's tough here. You know, just such a big track. If you don't stick with everybody, you really can fall behind quite quickly. Not to say the undercut doesn't work here. As I'll say it once and I'll say it a million times, anything can happen in racing, and it normally does. Stop go 30 for Colin Sugg. That is the speeding in the pit lane, I'm pretty sure. Not sure how else you could get awarded that penalty from the marshals. Marco Saldana is off. That is huge. The Rockefeller Racing McLaren here, you can see he was falling off the pace of the cars ahead. He was sticking with them for a while. Seems like the tires got to him. He's on new tires, though. Onto the... Oh, way too much curb there. The McLaren allergic to curbing. Not quite able to cope with the sausages in Maggots and Beckett's there. Daniel Madrano here, chasing down the Rockefeller Racing teammate of Devin Anthony. You can see him trying to line him up in the sights. He smells blood in the water. Outside line it is going to be for the number 6. Going to run deep into the next corner, but that will turn to the inside as we head back for farm into Aintree. Or Village into Aintree, excuse me. And onto the hangars. Wellington straight. Not going to be far enough alongside or with enough momentum there to make that happen as we head to Brooklands. Going to have to be another lap here for Daniel Madrano. We're running out of them too. 30 minutes left to go. As we hit that marker, Tranghisi looks like he is going to be coming into the pits. Nope, never mind. Just some weird things next to his name for some reason. On my end, not yours. Jay Raymer. Tillery, we can see that alternate line. Raymer here. Trying to do exactly what I said earlier, where you try to just maximize the exit speed here and send it into Stowe. And it seems that exactly that is going to happen. He doesn't even need to send it into Stowe. He got such a good exit. That is how you make an overtake through Maggots and Beckett's. Jay Raymer, stellar overtake, and might I even say clockwork. Tillery, does he have a response? I'm not sure. I think the pace difference there is going to be kicking in. 2:01.3 from the number 76, and Todd here with only a 2:02.5. I'm not sure how... Oh, he hasn't pit yet. He is on old tires. So is Raymer. Raymer is also on old tires. Only stopping for fuel, actually. That explains his massive gain there. Patiently, Raymer has to pass. Yeah. Good fighting here tonight. Good fighting throughout this entire league. Like I said before, if you guys are interested, in the description you can find the link to it. SimGrid signups, $100 on the line, of course, as well as the top 3. Wow, way too deep goes Daniel Madrano. The top 3, of course, rewarded with Coach Dave setups, the top-notch setup bundle there. Thank you to Coach Dave as well. Thank you to SimGrid for providing everything and sponsoring this championship. You guys are awesome. As we try to watch here, the Rockefeller Racing Porsche work his magic and catch up with his teammate. Devin Anthony, well, had a back marker to contend with, no longer. That was Gray Mullis. Pretty quickly dealt with, as Mullis not wanting to get involved with that. It did maybe cost Devin Anthony a 10th or 2. Nothing to shake a stick at, but nothing to really cry over either. As in endurance races, that is one of the talents you have to develop, is a back marker avoidance, and that is being a back marker as well as being a front marker. Both have their own set of skills, and both are equally important. Daniel Madrano looking extremely patient and comfortable at the wheel. Really just setting back and relaxing, as it seems. Keeping an eye here on the bumper of Devin Anthony and waiting for any mistake. He's going to have a look. Keeping Devin Anthony honest. I'm not sure if this is really much of an attempt. He's going to have a poor exit onto the Wellington straight, and that is definitely not going to work for him. The McLaren with a great exit speed. The Lamborghini, not the worst exit speed, but I think the McLaren does have it beat, if I'm not mistaken. Daniel Madrano, one more lap. It's going to have to be for him. He has one more lap to spare, though. Still a few more laps to go in this race. Todd Tillery is actually our only driver yet to make a pit stop. He's going for that long overcut strategy. We'll see if that pays off for him. I presume he is not going to take tires, as at this point he would not be able to get the full benefit of those by the end of the race. DeMarcus, yellow flag for him. He is off into the gravel. What has happened here? DeMarcus with an uncharacteristic mistake. Was this self-inflicted? I think it was. Oh, the curb, and Maggots and Beckett's once again claiming the life of another McLaren. Off into the grass he goes and kills the car as well. Not able to get the clutch in time, having to get it restarted. Back onto the road behind Daniel Madrano, who is currently trying to contend with Devin Anthony. These two need to resolve their differences relatively soon here, as we're going to have somebody else joining the party, and he is going to be hot to make up some ground. DeMarcus trying to get back to the podium positions. He started way up there, honestly, in P3. Man, an incredible qualifying result, which is just an understatement, to be honest. Dubois also with an off. The Rockefeller Racing team struggling here in the around the 30-minute mark as well. Daniel Madrano struggling here. It's tough. Trying to push to those limits there. Daniel Madrano, Devin Anthony. They need to, like I say, work together. This is what teams are for here, as they have another rival to contend with. Try to pull a little bit of a lead. Work together. I'm being optimistic here. I think we're going to see a little bit of George Russell and Lewis Hamilton action. Well, I hope not. I hope we don't see that. But at least something similar. Todd Tillery, he's in, finally. Final pit stop of the night, hopefully. With Daniel Madrano here. Going to be in P5, trying to catch up with, or not catch up, excuse me, trying to overtake Devin Anthony. It's the battle to be seen, no doubt, as he's trying to work whatever he can. DeMarcus Rogers has been patient. He's suffering from that spin. He should be back up to temperature, barring any flat spots. It seemed like most of that spin was off on the grass, so I don't think it damaged his tires too badly. And DeMarcus did take fresh tires at the pit stop phase. We should be relatively okay. Daniel Madrano here. Outside line it's going to be as we head into the Vale chicane. It'll turn quickly to the inside if he can stay alongside for long enough. No, he can't. The McLaren so dominant through that Vale chicane, as you can also see DeMarcus Rogers trying to take advantage of how slow that Lamborghini is through there. Lumbering its way through. Danny Madrano, though, other than that, looking very strong. Looking very strong in general for the Rockefeller Racing team. So far, 4 and 5. Albert Tranghese in P1, though. I know we haven't mentioned that name in a while. He is on the TDR team, TDR team. I don't think that has any relation with the Honda engine. Danny Madrano. Lining him up once again. Can he do it? I know I've said it a million times, but he is really struggling here. Needs to just get it done. Sends it in a very high-speed quarter. Plenty of room being left there from Devin Anthony. You can see these teammates. Rule number 1 of racing is don't hit your teammate, and these two definitely have that rung into their heads. Heading in side by side with Maggots and Beckett's. They didn't hit each other. No, that's rule number 1 of racing, guys. Did you not hear what I just said? Daniel Madrano, Devin Anthony come together in Maggots and Beckett's. That was bound to happen, unfortunately, with that. You can see the helicopter cam here getting a perfect angle of 2 not going into 1. Can definitely call that a racing incident. Devin Anthony there. Well, I wouldn't say, don't say definitely. That one's up to the stewards. Go, remember, Mike, bias, non-bias here. Leave that one up to the stewards. The Rockefeller Racing team in shambles after that. I know I just was praising them. Definitely commentator cursed the heck out of that one. Apologies on that. Rick Reed, welcome. Hope you guys are having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Hope you're enjoying this racing here tonight. 20 minutes left on the clock. Danny Madrano going to be emotionally hurt after that one. He actually didn't get hurt too much in terms of his time on track. He lost the position to DeMarcus Rogers. DeMarcus going to be climbing his way back up. But still, right in the wing mirror. Not too far behind. Up at the lead, Tranghese in the lead by quite the dominant margin. In fact, set the fastest lap last time around on his new set of tires. 20 seconds is the gap to Santiago Vengas. Vengas looked very strong at the start, looked very strong in qualifying, but in terms of long-term race pace, Tranghese is just unmatched. Santiago, last lap, a 2:09. You might say, Mike, that's not a bad lap. No, it isn't a bad lap, but Tranghese is putting in consistent 58s here in race pace. That is so hard to answer to. It doesn't matter who you are. Raymer as well. Definitely a name to be mentioned. With an alternate pit strategy, in a sea of drivers that decided to take tires, he was one that didn't take tires, and that has paid off so much for him so far. He gained roughly, 14 seconds? He gained roughly 14 seconds over DeMarcus Rogers in terms of pit time. And look where he is. He's 10 seconds ahead of them on the road. That was the difference. He would have been back battling with Daniel Madrano, Devin Anthony, and DeMarcus Rogers if he did not make that call early on. But he's going to be losing that rubber every single lap, and that gap between DeMarcus Rogers and Jay Raymer is going to get closer and closer. That is to say, unless Daniel Madrano keeps sticking his nose into DeMarcus Rogers' business here, and they start losing some lap time with some squabbling. That could also play part in this, because these two drivers are lapping quite quicker than Jay Raymer. In fact, they could almost certainly get him if they work together here by the end of this race. Jay, though, is actually trying to make an overtake on Santiago, but he isn't going to need to, as this is absolutely huge. Santiago Vengas has picked up a drive-through penalty, extending track limits one too many times, and once again the marshals not too thrilled with his behavior on that one and rewarded him with a drive-through penalty. That means he's going to have to serve one full trip through the pit lane, not stop in his pit box. That is going to cost him some time, though. In fact, it's going to cost him right around 23 seconds. If he can manage to nail his entry and exit there and not pick up another drive-through penalty from speeding in the pits, it cost him 23 seconds, which will drop him down in front of Devin Anthony, presumably. Or at least either in front of or behind. I think in front of Devin Anthony. Oh, those track limits? I know, and Silverstone is not a track that is particularly tough to get track limit warnings on. It's not an easy one to get track. There's a few corners in which you instinctively want to keep your foot in it because there are no walls near. That is one thing with Silverstone, is you don't have any walls close to the track, so you're more incentivized to cut the track, even though you'll still get the same penalty regardless if those walls are there or not. It's just that psychological barrier of, well, psychological barrier versus physical barrier, I suppose. That is an ever-changing battle on track, of course, and Vengas gonna have to serve that within the next 3 laps. He chooses to serve it now. The Colombian driver, though, that's gonna hurt. We'll see Daniel Madrano walk by them. Devin Anthony, I think he will come out in front of Devin Anthony. Devin Anthony in the Rockefeller Racing Ferrari, bit further behind after. I think he had a spin with that contact with Daniel Madrano earlier. Vengas here. It's going to be close. They might come out side by side, actually, as the pit limiter is now off. We're going to be exiting the first corner now, and it looks like Devin Anthony is actually going to be firmly ahead. Santiago with the drive-through penalty as a result has lost 4 positions. Absolutely crucial here in terms of the championship. Up at the front, this is now a podium position. Who would have thought that? DeMarcus Rogers going to be trying to make a move here, DeMarcus Rogers on the defense with Daniel Madrano trying to make a move onto the inside there. Outside line being picked for the Vale chicane now. As they come into it, switchback attempt going to happen, not quite. The Rockefeller Racing Lamborghini, what's he got left in the tank here? 14 minutes and 43 seconds left on the clock. As well, Marco Saldana. Definitely got to keep an eye on him. Battling with Jay Davis, but Daniel Madrano and DeMarcus Rogers side by side. Bit of a wobble there for DeMarcus Rogers as they were mid-apex. No contact made. It looks like Daniel Madrano is going to be on the podium now. We unfortunately missed the initial attack there, but DeMarcus Rogers is not done yet. What does he have to say? Outside line here, heading into the final corner complex. Late on the brakes goes the Rockefeller Racing Lamborghini. Great defense, though, had from Daniel Madrano, and it looks like he is going to get a better exit. He's firmly ahead for now. Still, 13 minutes, 45 seconds left. Anything can happen here. Behind them, Saldana. Keep an eye, though. DeMarcus Rogers, he is not done. Don't ever count DeMarcus out. He can come out of anywhere, it seems, and go for those high-paying positions. Be curious. We see Fabiano Rousseau pick up another track limits warning, or potentially, at least an invalidation, I should say. I can't see if they get track limit warnings or not, but Rousseau is in. That must be a fuel calculation error. Rousseau in the pits for a second stop. He has already made his one mandatory stop for the night, assuming it counted. Yes, it did. So, interesting call there. Must be a fuel miscalculation. We've seen that already from a driver. In fact, was that Rousseau? No, it wasn't Rousseau. It was the red the red McLaren here, Nevada, who ran out of fuel in the pit lane. The absolute worst place to do that. It's like, come on, boys, give me a push. Unfortunately, not allowed in regulations here. Marco Saldana, bit of a wobble. Tires getting a bit uncomfortable here. Jay Davis, wow, way too late on the brakes. Goes Saldana. Oh, and he feels bad on that one. You can see him waiting for the 08 car to rejoin the track there. But let's take a look at this one on board. So we approach. We're on the brakes at a reasonable time, but the angle, I think we came into that corner, wasn't great and just didn't expect the slow up there from Davis. So Saldana is going to take a 3-second penalty from that, it seems, after waiting for Jay to rejoin the track. Very fair and honorable. You got to give Saldana credit there. He owns up to his mistake right away. He knows what he did. Vengas. 1.5 seconds to Devin Anthony. DeMarcus Rogers, 1.5 seconds to Daniel Madrano. Closest battles on track to be had right now. Of course, folks, if you guys do want to get out on this, we are very close to the end of this 75-minute race. Next week, there's going to be even more action to be had, or rather the same amount of action, just in a different format. It's going to be a doubleheader, 30 minutes, followed up by a 45-minute race over at Misano. We're going to be in Italy. Very tight track where we're going to see track limits brought to the absolute extreme at Misano. That is a track that is very hard to stay within the mayo and the mustard, no doubt. That was my Steam message, I assure you, not anyone else's. I didn't even know that I could get Steam messages during this, but okay, I'll have to change that in the future. Circuit of the Americas after that for round 4, another track where track limits is going to be a big issue. And Valencia, another track limits track. So the drivers not only going to be battling with each other, they're going to be battling with the white and the red lines that we're going to see on the outside, as well as the marshals. As you can see there, DeMarcus Rogers cutting the white lines close. That was valid, though, somehow, actually. And Daniel Madrano has slipped away. Fallen back quite a bit this lap, 7 seconds. Saldana and Santiago. These two are the close. Santiago and Devin Anthony and Jay Davis and Saldana. P5 and 6, P7 and 8. Looking like the closest action here out on track tonight. Or for now. 9 minutes, 24 seconds left to go. Drivers just trying to survive. I know I said that before. It is really, the fatigue is kicking in at this point. Fastest lap of a 1:58.9 to beat Tranghese, the only driver into the 58s for their fastest lap. Next fastest lap to that is going to be 59.2, actually 59.0, excuse me, from Daniel Madrano, so almost into the 58s. But Daniel not quite able to do that, and after that mistake that we saw earlier, unfortunately, is going to be P4, even with the stellar lap times that he's able to put in. And track limits killer? Yes, indeed. This calendar is a track limits killer. Because, same before, even Spa after that is not nice in terms of the track limits. Monza, much better. Barcelona, you know, it's tough. But it's also required, staying between the lines. Did I just see a flash of the headlights, or was that a little visual bug? Saldana might be trying to get in the head there a little bit. Dubois with a yellow flag here at the end. Seems like that was a self-inflicted error. Nobody around him. Way too deep there. Is going to have some contact with the barrier, and actually both front and rear contact on that Lamborghini. That should affect the aero quite a bit, making that car a bit more undrivable. And Rocky says that he's going to be coming for Trango. Now that is a statement right there. Of course, next week at the doubleheader, you'll have 2 chances to make that dream become a reality. See if you can make it happen. Of course, that will be next week on the 27th. Pop on board here with the McLaren Evo 2. Get a little bit of a full onboard lap here as we're chasing down Jay Davis. Coming across the line now. Heading towards Cops. Going to be just a single downshift, double downshift, triple down. I don't know how to drive this car, apparently. I think it's a double downshift. I think 3 gears is maybe unnecessary, but I could be wrong. Now into Maggots and Beckett's, down to 4th gear, a little early, 3rd gear. And gonna use that rotation, the engine braking there to try to get the better rotation on there. The BMW is a bit out of shape mid-corner. We're gonna be looking to keep that slipstream up here. Have a look onto the inside as we approach Cops. No, Stowe. A little bit too far behind to make any sort of lunge, and a bit deep into the corner as well. The understeer is definitely showing there for that McLaren. Heading into the Vale chicane now. Inside line being picked, interestingly, very far back. Definitely not going to be making an overtake from there. Speed wobble there from the BMW. The BMW is on the limit right now, and you can see the outside line wanting to be taken for Marco Saldana, but not quite able to get that done yet. Inside being picked now as we head into the fastest corner on the track. There's contact, but it looks like Saldana is going to be firmly ahead for now. And Rocky says next week he will be back. That's what everyone wanted to hear, of course. Jay, can he respond back here? He needs to respond back quickly, or I think Saldana is going to walk away. In the Ram Racing, we saw a little bit of that earlier between these two drivers, but no love lost between the two, of course. 5 minutes, 30 seconds left to go in tonight's race. Almost a little bit more there. Nevada has had a yellow flag. Looks like they've recovered pretty handedly, though. And Vangas slipping away from Devin Anthony. Devin Anthony last lap was slower. This lap, though, it looks like Vangas off to not the greatest start here as we come through Maggots and Beckett's. The driver behind is the number 30 there. That will be Mike Gravele? I know that one's a bit of a start. I need somebody to correct me on that one, please. It might just be gravel, like I said. He is in the gravel racing, but I don't think it is. Jay Davis. This is going to be close. It most certainly is. I think right now, seems the front three have been pretty much resolved. I think Albert Tranghisi, barring any disconnect at this point, he's going to need a bit more than a spin. He's even got a spin banked up for him. 36 seconds is the gap to Jay Raymer, who is in P2, with DeMarcus Rogers in P3, 5.6 seconds behind. Danny Madrino, 5.6 seconds behind him. This, though, Devin Anthony and Santiago Vengas has closed up very quickly. It is gravel. All right, fair enough. Vengas on the outside of Devin Anthony, the Rockefeller Racing McLaren. Going to have to defend for the next 2 laps here. Might even be 3, actually, with where the leader is placed. No. Surely not. Solid showing from Rogers. I think Rogers, that's just been the description of both of his races so far, is, yeah, solid showing. Man's delivering the results, putting in the laps that he needs, and really just consistent. Vengas falling off the pace there a little bit, though. You can see the McLaren really good through the exit of the high-speed corners. The Ferrari not quite able to cope with that. We're about to see again, I think, a much better exit here from the McLaren, and Santiago is in fact falling out of the slipstream just about. He's got a second gap to Devin Anthony in front. That is going to be just enough to pick up a little bit of a tow. Of course, that McLaren punching a big old hole in the air for the Ferrari to sneak its way into and gain some crucial hundredths, maybe even thousandths. Lovely sounding car, though, is the 296. Definitely one of the best sounding cars in the game. One of, not the. Maserati probably has to claim that title. It's so nice on the downshifts there as we're gaining as well. Big speed advantage approaching the village section. Going to be the outside line pick. That's going to try to turn into a switchback here. Too much curb being picked up, though. That's going to compromise a huge sweeping exit onto the Wellington Straight we go, or at least to Aintree we go. This is going to be a great exit for the 296. The McLaren, does he have an answer? He's going to have to cover the inside line off if he wants to keep this. But wow, the McLaren is so quick on exit. Later on the brakes goes the Ferrari. Not quite able to get it done, though. Great defense from Devin Anthony, placing his car in the most inconvenient spots for Santiago Vengas. And Vengas, fresh out of the pits. Although that was for a drive-through penalty. Might have found a little bit of gravel for himself there. Gravel trap racing most certainly has, unfortunately. We are going to have one more lap to go here tonight. Is the leader coming around towards Aintree now. I don't think that's going to take a minute. No, it most certainly will not take a minute now. So Vengas will have one more try to get the job done on to Devin Anthony here. As it stands, Vengas a bit too far behind to make anything happen into the Vale Chicane again. He's gaining, but that's too much. You don't want to be gaining there. And first PC race for Gravel and the Porsche. All right, so Mike Gravel, fresh off the console, heading on to the superior platform. I mean, the platform that we're on. No, the superior platform, let's be honest, everybody. Welcome to PC Grip, Mike. And a fellow Mike, definitely, you know, not biased whatsoever. Santiago Vengas running out of track here. They will have the opportunity to go to the line one more time. We'll stick with them for a little bit here. But I do want to catch some screen time with Tranghese as he is on the parade lap. Nice overtaking attempt for Vengas. He's getting a bit desperate, though. You can see the car stepping out as he just overcooked that corner, asking slightly too much out of the front end there, and the rear end, to be fair. Just too much. Vengas needs to keep a calm head here. That's going to be the biggest thing. Don't go for anything too overly rash. As we come to the line, it's going to be a bit more of a gap than he wanted. Tranghese, keep an eye on him for a minute here. What a race it's been. What a drive. Tranghese dominant through and throughout throughout the entirety of this race. Pole position in qualifying, which is transition to fastest lap in the race, and the race win. Some would call that a masterclass. I think I most certainly would. What a result for the number one, the previous champion, showing why he won that title, showing the true talent that he has there. On the final lap, Vengas 1 second behind Devin Anthony. Not going to be able to make that happen, I don't think. Tranghese, though, coming around the final corner now through woodcut sweep. This is going to bring our 75-minute race to a close here tonight, everybody. Tranghese comes across the line for the race win in the Ferrari 296, the number one in P1. Jay Raymer, he's got a bit more track to go before we reach that line. We'll keep an eye on Santiago Vengas, as this is going to be the most exciting action left on track tonight. He has a few more overtaking opportunities, and this is going to be one of them. Switchback attempt had here. He's going to try to set it up. Once again, slam off to the right side. Oh, this might be it. This might be it. The exit is going to be absolutely superb here for Vengas. He has to contend through Aintree here. The McLaren straight line speed is going to be good, but is it good enough? It looks like it is, actually. My goodness. McLaren is quick. That's a long way back. Late on the brakes goes Santiago, but it's not late enough. Not able to make the overtake happen there. As we come through the final few corners. It's going to be P5 for Devin Anthony. And P6 for Santiago Vengas. A great showing there at the end as well. To the line, they finish within a half second of each other. But Jay Raymer comes across for P2. DeMarcus Rogers for P3. Danny Madreno for P4. Devin Anthony in 5th. Santiago Vengas in 6th. Marco Saldana will be coming across the line here in 7th. With Jay Davis a little bit further behind in 8th. Todd Tillery in 9th. And I think he is going to be the last on track to finish. These guys, yes, they have checkered flags on their names. So that is going to be the results here tonight, everybody. What a race, too, that it was. We are going to be calling the stream here, though. So big thank you to everyone for tuning in. Big thank you to our winners and our drivers in general, as it has been an amazing league here so far, and I cannot wait for the future races to come. Of course, Silverstone, an excellent spectacle. We have Misano next week. Make sure you guys check the description out there for the information to the race over at Misano, as well as the other league. $100 on the line for this one. I've been Mike Nause. Thank you guys so much for participating. I hope you guys have a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.